I think the single greatest professional honor that this show has ever gotten in terms of creating things for people that make them laugh or feel good. I believe a few comedy legends have interacted with our show in a way that was playful, fun, and forever memorable, whether it be Alan Thicke or Bob Einstein or Richard Lewis, where they graced us by interacting with our show and going along with the bit with us. Richard Lewis and our relationship was only as a show jostling with him, allowing him to be maximum Richard Lewis. And now, Curb Your Enthusiasm at the end of its great run, and the season so far has been tremendous. I can't believe that Larry David could take the neuroses of his daily life and turn it into endless content that never runs out. His friendship with a comedy legend, Richard Lewis, doing that show at the end. Man, I saw an interview with Seinfeld and Larry David where Seinfeld was asked with Larry David, are you going to ever do a sitcom or anything like that again? He's like, no, hell no. For what? What? I did it already. To accomplish what? And Larry David's like, that's a great idea. To ruin it all. Just to ruin it all. And then he made Curb Your Enthusiasm, which somehow has aged with grace, even though the last trailer I saw before this season, all I saw them running around a golf course was, man, those guys look so old. They look so old. And Richard Lewis was dying. But he laughed until the end. Like he's still out here making great comedy right before he passes. Do you guys remember, Mike, do you remember how close we were to trying to do a remote from Bob Einstein's funeral because he was around our show so much and because he would have thought it funny?
Yeah, I do know that. I don't necessarily think that there was a content play, but I know that Allison, when she was here, almost went to the funeral, and Richard Lewis was certainly born out of I do miss the Celebrity Prognosticator segment because we got to know people over those longer runs, and someone like Richard Lewis probably wouldn't have entered our environment were not for that segment. That show has given us two of our favorite guests ever. They were older comedy legends, and I think part of the cool thing about our show is we introduced, in some cases, a younger audience to absolute titans of the game. Richard Lewis is a legend. Bob Einstein was a legend. And to have them both in the same show and both pass while the show is still actively running, I know is, considering the popularity of that show, tough for a lot of people. And if you operate inside the Venn diagram of a lot of people, which is like our show and like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm sure that news hit you very hard.
And Chris and Roy edited what you're about to hear here in memory of Richard Lewis because they remember almost the entirety of the relationship. It was funny, contentious, and he would basically just come on and get deeply insulted and scream at me.
Hi, Richard.
Hello, Richard.
Oh.
Hello, sir. Are you ready? Let's go. He's ready. Let's go. All right, he's ready. Let's go. Let's go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Join.
Oh, are we going now? How dare you embarrass me in front of your fans?
Well, I'm trying to help you.
What happened to you? You've changed.
What do you mean what happened to us? I've never talked to you before in our lives.
I've streamed your show, and you used to be a genuinely nice guy, and you turned into a bastard.
Joined now by our friend and nemesis, the comedian Richard Lewis.
I'm no nemesis to you. I'm only a nemesis to Wolverines.
Thank you for making time for us, Richard. Are you just sitting there anxious?
Stop giving me any of this crap. I don't believe a word you're saying. I'm sick of this nemesis crap. I'm sick of this fake fight we have. You know that we used to be lovers back in the day in Cuba.
You were so gentle.
I was not gentle, and I used to give you all the tips. We won so much money betting. You used to call me Olivia. What is this Olivia crap? You're like, don't spread these rumors.
I mean rumors.
You know what I saw? I was looking at the shows, the years I did with you. You have your fans who love you, and you're great. I'm a big fan of the whole show. You say, how was Richard? Did he suck? Mm-hmm. Was he any good? Mm-hmm. How does his teeth? Are they yellow? Are they white? What the?
Right.
Why judge me? You know, I've been doing this for 48 years. You were 4 years old when I did Carnegie Hall. You have some nerve. I used to live in Florida. I have friends call me every time I do your show. He's a piece of crap. Why does he put you down? I said, I don't know why he puts me down. I'm a big fan. I'm a sports fan. I've been a comic my whole life. I devoted myself to the arts. I don't get it. Just tell me why you hate me so much.
Richard, devoting yourself to the arts. Come on, Richard.
All right, so that was a bit of a lie. And by the way, I don't mean to be narcissistic, but we're probably gonna blow up North Korea. But but Curb does start October 1st.
Okay, an interesting juxtaposition.
No matter what.
Okay,
I'm just telling you.
Curb Your Enthusiasm looks like so much fun. Everything you guys are doing. Thank you for being.
When do I talk? When do I talk?
Okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
Go
and
ahead,
talk now.
talk.
Go ahead.
I'm on tour.
Yeah, all right.
I'm New York, then Philly, then L.A. and San Francisco, and I mean, I'm wasting my time with you mocking me.
Blunt Talk. It's premiering this August on Stars. He recently attended Ringo Starr's 75th birthday party because
No,
he's...
if I only have 400 seconds, I'm fed up with all of you.
Huh?
What happened?
Blunt Talk is going to be on Stars in August, and it's the greatest cast I've ever been with, and Sir Patrick Stewart is my client. I'm a psychiatrist. Sure, mock me.
Well,
Mock me.
you're full of it. I mean, because you say every
I'm
time...
not full of it.
Yeah, because
What do you
every
mean?
time you come on with us, you say something you're involved with is the greatest thing you've ever been involved with.
No, that was just a hooker in Vegas.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I never used
Never.
hookers.
Never.
I've never had a hooker in my life.
I'm just kidding. It
married
wasn't
now.
Vegas.
I'm very happy, and I'm a hypochondriac, and I used to put a Michelin condom over my body.
All right.
I know Larry David since I'm 0. I was a preemie, and I had to stay in a hospital for 3 days, and then he was born, and he tried to hang me by my umbilical cord, this moron. And then I went to a sports camp, and he was there, and we were enemies. And then I never saw him again until we were comics, and we were best friends. So one day we were going over our childhood, and when we were like 24 or so, and then we realized we were the same kids at 12 who hated each other at sports camp. It was a billion to one shot. It was pretty cool, man.
I got to imagine that you and Larry David, that wasn't much of a sports camp, like in terms of general athleticism at 12 years old.
No, wrong again. I was a great athlete, just too short for basketball, but one of the great stickball hitters in Jersey and New York. In fact, I'm in a professional stickball league in L.A., and
you're not.
I beat Pete Rose in stickball. So there you go.
You professional stickball.
He calls me up and he says, let's go to dinner. And I go, what time? He goes, 4:01. I go, 4:01? You know, he's a very wealthy man. I make a good living. I've been working my whole life, but he doesn't have to treat me. Screw him. So I go to this fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills. I get there an hour early, okay? I go to the maitre d'. I go, here's my credit card. Oh, Mr. Lewis, no, Mr. David always pays. I go, no, screw Mr. David. I could pay for him. No, he'll yell at us. I don't let him yell at you, you babies.
Yeah.
I'm paying. So I give him my credit card. Larry comes an hour late. We were always broke for years when we started. And I said, Larry, why don't we just order what we used to do? I'd order chicken, you'd order beef, you'd get some soup, we'd split it. And he says, no, don't embarrass me. I go, what do you mean embarrass you? The chef will tell me what I want. The chef will tell you what you want? What are you, nutcase? How do you changed on me? What kind of... So the chef brings out 20 dishes on one of these Lazy Susans. 20 different entrees. And we don't even speak for more than 1 minute. And the phone rings, and he goes, oh, my God, I forgot. It's poker night at Steve Martin's house, and he leaves me.
You have to pay for it.
He leaves me with 20 entrees and a $1,200 bill.
You know, I love Einstein, too. He's one of the funniest guys, but he's the loudest human being. It's like walking where you go to a restaurant. Let's say you go to a funeral. And you're walking to the casket, I swear to God,
Yes.
he'll say this. So, and I don't do a good impression. You go, 2 vaginas walk in and they say hello to a testicle. And then the testicle turns around and makes a milkshake. But I'm saying he screams this out while we're looking at the dead body in the coffin. That's why he's the greatest.
Who
he
do
has
you-
no filter. No filter. I don't know why. And he's such a nutcase, but I love
you
him.
all are, though. Who's the biggest? You're all nutcases, all of you.
You're like Gandhi. You're a mental case. And Ringo introduced me to my wife, so when he fight me.
Ringo, bite me.
I'm calling BS on that. Ringo didn't introduce you to your wife. A Beatle did not introduce you to
now
the
tell
wife.
me that Ringo's not one of my oldest friends for 30 years and introduced me to my wife, and and George's a huge fan of my stand-up. So, why are you lying to your fans? And you're making me look like a schmuck.
What did you just do to us here? We were just talking to you about the Knicks, and all of a sudden you told us a story about Michael Jordan sitting next to you that didn't have anything to do with anything.
That's because I'm a hoax. I'm a hoax as a comic, as a guest, as a husband.
But
I have no sperm left. I can't have children.
Well, I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's all bad. Let me say right now, I think this is the greatest interview you ever had. What do you think of that? This is the best interview you had in 2 years, you clown. This interview was the best you had in like 5 years, you moron.
Yeah, how come I did 2 Super Bowl commercials in the last 5 years? Bite me. Really. I'm tired of your fans thinking I'm not good, I'm not funny, I don't care about you. You vote. I don't vote for your guests. What kind of crap is that? How was he? Was he any good? Was his hair any good? Is he losing? Is he getting bald in the back? Screw you. Screw you.
Put it on the poll. Was Richard Lewis any good this time at Le Batard Show? Were Richard Lewis's teeth yellow? Put that on the poll as well. And
even my wife who's not a gigantic sports freak, she likes your show, and she says she heard me on the phone when she went, "You sucked."
Guillermo, put it on the poll.
My own wife put you ahead of me.
Do you know the Ohio State fight song? You want to lead us to break on the Ohio State fight song?
Well, no, it's okay. On Ohio, where's your deli? I need something. It doesn't matter what the words are.
Where's your deli?
I'm a graduate. I graduated
Famous
with a
love.
BS in marketing.
Yes.
And then when he has time to set up in the pocket, he really does have a shotgun.
Wait a minute, Nemesis. Do you know your quarterback's name?
No, I don't. Names are unimportant. It's just a position, and I don't. How dare you quiz me on Ohio State like this and embarrass me?
I'm just curious.
I'm one of the most famous. Yeah, I know his name, Irving Schlakowitz. They probably got 11 guys who knew Walter White, and they played, and they ran the offense with the first team.
Really? You're accusing your team of being on meth?
No. I'm saying they hired people to make believe they were on meth to run the fast offense.
Oh, that's
Try to listen to me.
That's much different. You're right.
what was the best time, the single best time, the most fun time to be Richard Lewis?
Sleeping with, with beautiful actresses. And when the Knicks and the Jets and the Mets won in '69. By the way, what's going to happen to the Patriots quarterback? Is he going to? I've been on the road. Is he going to do the 4-game thing?
No, well, it's just a topic from 2 months ago.
Oh, you see, that's what you guys care. You just care about ratings, and you don't care about ethics.
That's right. And on that note, we're going to let you go.
You know why? Because you hate me now.
Yeah. If we cared about ratings, you wouldn't be on with us, Richard.
But I
Richard,
worship you.
if we cared about ratings, you wouldn't be on with us right now.
That was the meanest thing ever
plugging
said
your
to
book.
me.
Your book.
My mother tried to push me back into the womb, and that's the exact thing she told me.
Yes.
If I cared about ratings about our family, we wouldn't have you.
I wish she had.
Look, I apologize for all of this. You can edit it. You can.
No,
you
we
don't have to
can't
even
edit
air
it. It's live.
I was trying to be entertaining for you and for all the women in your life.
In fairness to Chris, it's really hard to capture the essence of a Richard Lewis appearance by having it be bite-sized, because nothing that he ever really did on our show was bite-sized. The meandering, the rambling, it was part of the bit with him. So that's why we honored him appropriately.
Plus, I wanted to kill a full segment.
Not nearly respectful enough to him, by the way. A legitimate legend. Our show was wildly
Comedy
disrespectful.
icon.
That's all it was. Like, that's, I'm telling you, there
Wildly
wasn't a lot of heartfelt.
No,
that I
There
got
was
out of
zero.
here.
No. We had a very superficial, shallow relationship with Richard Lewis.
It did actually, and Roy cut out at the end. There was like, I love you guys. Same to you. But Roy cut that part out.
Really, Roy?
Yeah, cut for time.
It needed to be a little bit shorter.
10
because
seconds
it's-
long.
Just try to be
Yeah.
efficient.
I'm happy we cut anything for time here.
Why wouldn't you have made it with the I love yous?
Dude, it was 14 minutes long before I touched that thing.
I
man.
actually have another.
And then it was 13:30 after he touched
I
it.
actually have another 40-second clip that I was like, this doesn't fit the montage, but it is funny. I'll turn the volume up on the.
By the way, Leonard Nimoy passed today. He was a buddy of mine, and it's very sad. He was a brilliant guy, and only matched his acting was only matched by his class. So anyone who loved him, my condolences.
But Richard, what did you just do to our show? We were talking about sports, and then you talk about your show.
Pardon me for mentioning someone who dies. You are a rude human being.
I'm with Lewis on this.
No. Let me tell you what I don't
That's
care
where it
about.
came from?
Oh my God!
Okay, you can't cut
How does
that.
that get cut for time?
He's the Lewis.
What's going to happen? You better come to my you better come to my funeral.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You can see Richard and Kevin Pollak tonight, 8 p.m. Our nemesis.
Nice segue, by the way. You're brilliant. I used to really worship you. I think now you're a complete idiot.
I am pretty sure I should let people know this part of it, I think. He didn't know anything about our show, and the joke was that this comedy legend was coming and being on this dumb Miami show for no good discernible reason. Just
To pick Bengals 6.5.
when he knew nothing about football and was working in the gutter well beneath where his talents had taken his life.
Yeah. Did you see Larry David's statement that he gave to HBO that has been circulated? Here's a quote. Richard and I were born 3 days apart in the same hospital, and for most of my life, he's been like a brother to me. He had the rare combination of being the funniest person and also the sweetest, but today he made me sob, and for that, I'll never forgive him.
It was well written. Like when I read it, I'm like ending on a joke there because their friendship laughed until the end. Like, of course, that's the one thing that would reach through all the neuroses of Larry David and reach him, the mortality of losing a friend. When you saw in their on-air chemistry that those two knew how to be friends.
I'm telling you, though, you guys got distracted when you heard I'm with Lewis on this. You missed the part of this sound that I wanted to play for you.
When I die, here's what's going to happen. Richard Lewis died. He was
Sure.
a funny guy. What's with
Whatever.
the weather? That's what's going to happen. You better come to my funeral.
Okay.
So we were invited,
All right.
huh?
So
You agreed.
Confirmation.
Binding.
when do you head out?
Need to give him some vacation time.
Okay.
You should go tomorrow.
You want to do the show from out there?
Sure.
How heartfelt are your
I
condolences?
don't want to do the show from out there. That's in poor taste.
I'm with Lewis on this.
But we were invited.
Well, Dan was. And it's
okay.
binding.
Okay. All right, it's mine.
He said okay.
Yeah, you did say
He
okay.
meant it. As you know, he was always super serious during his appearances here. But yeah, rest in peace, comedy legend and friend of the show, Richard Lewis.
We can handle the show without you tomorrow, Dan. Like, if you need to go, we understand.
Live reports.
If you want. I mean,
He had a great lid in his heyday, too.
And we're just saying you should pay
Great
respect.
lid.
I don't know how many people, I don't know necessarily that we should be doing the entirety of the eulogy on behalf of what that man's career was, but you're talking about 45 to 50 years in stand-up comedy, and I think people understand that that's a career without a safety net, that those are artists that don't have big employers with healthcare benefits and stuff. You can latch on to shows as a writer and stuff, but to be able to create the career that guy created out of just his funny and his neuroses, because his whole bit was to be publicly insecure like that in a way that crawled around in his skin. And the show that he and Larry David do together, he wasn't on from the very beginning, was he? Was he on from the very beginning of that show?
It was pretty apparent that even if you weren't a fan of Richard Lewis, but maybe you like Seinfeld, he was, without saying it there, and he kind of touched on it, he was a muse for Larry David. He is one of the most influential voices in comedy in that he influenced Larry David. So Richard Lewis's legacy probably doesn't get the credit it deserves.
I'm guessing that when Larry David composes himself to like give you his real thoughts on what it is that brotherhood was, I will guess that he will be introspective enough to understand and grateful enough, even though he doesn't tend to give off very much joy or gratitude in his work, grateful enough to say, do you realize that I never ran out of material? Because me and Richard Lewis were always just walking around town. And so Richard Lewis would, I'm guessing that this is at the core of their friendship, because I do wonder how they never ran out of material. It's because, like, really, you can't serve breakfast after 11? That's a hard no on my eggs. If I'd been here at 10:55, you could do it, but you don't have the technology to do it. I'm guessing that's just them televising their friendship.
Well, 100%. All of the Seinfeld stuff that works so well, and certainly Curb after that, where it just picked up and ran with the ball, is all observational, and you could totally see how that's born with brunch between Larry David and Richard Lewis.
And in some ways, right, because this is not, Larry David doesn't give off anything but misery. The work is funny, but he gives off not a whole lot of happy. Do you realize that in the neuroses that him and that friend shared, the fact that it was an endless source of content is the only way he can go after Seinfeld and do another. Nobody believes he's done. When his friends are dying, and these are the people who made him laugh, and Larry doesn't seem he doesn't seem joyous, right? But he finds the funny in the dark. When your friends are dying all around you and you can't get through the season without losing Richard Lewis, and before that Bob Einstein, who he loved similarly. It's a bit heartbreaking, but the season's been good, Mike. Like the art that they're making through 3 shows when it's hard for comedy to age. Like, I'm hoping we view the rest of this with a gentle eye, because it's hard to finish these things correctly.
People have been hard on this season of Curb. I've seen memes putting Hakeem Olajuwon in a Raptors uniform, equating it to this season. I don't think that's been the case. Like, if you're tired of the observational humor from Curb, why are you even watching Curb? That's kind of the show's deal. It's built on that. Maybe it's leaning heavier than you're used to, because I think in the last few seasons, Curb has had a singular thread and story arc carry it through the season, and I actually wasn't a huge fan of that, and in many respects, it's getting back to its roots.
Can I ask you guys, as someone who just really can take some of the fun out of what I'm watching by just marveling at the construction of things, will anyone in the audience allow history and art to gracefully finish when you consider the degree of difficulty of writing 25 years of this is the most popular television, and the standard is through the sky on what you're doing? If this gets worse, I'm going to notice. I'm waiting for you to get old. I'm waiting for it to get worse. I'm asking you.
Are we still talking about Richard Lewis?
I'm asking you sincerely about their careers at the end.
I hope that we're afforded that opportunity with a passionate fan base and leaning into some of those personal relations that we built through over time, because, I mean, we're approaching our 20th anniversary. There's a lot of young bucks in the game right now with bigger platforms, and, we're trying to find our way. And I think that we can maybe draw inspiration for how Larry David had this whole second chapter. I'm making it about us.
You really did at the end.
Well, I thought you were talking about us.
Yeah.
I wasn't, though. I was talking about the career of Richard Lewis.
Well,
listen, Uncle Tony, you'll be fine.
It sounded like you were
We're just
talking
getting
about
started
the
over here.
reviews of Curb Your Enthusiasm for this season. So
I just haven't. That's not what I've been hearing. When I'm talking to Amin, and I don't know what Jessica and Amin like the season. I think it was Jessica liked the season the way that I have. But I'm also telling you that I'm grading it through the curve of how the degree of difficulty. And here I would be talking about us of trying to make something when people around you die. Or are sick, because what has been clear in watching Curb Your Enthusiasm for the last 3 years is that Richard Lewis is emaciated, like he's sickly.
Yeah, and that what was also clear is that he very much wanted to be a part of it as that was happening to him, because it was known. If you saw that most recent episode, we kind of all probably said to our partner, is looking rough there. But I think that they found great joy in wanting to do that as his time was winding down and share that with his friend. It was kind of a beautiful thing. We making this about us.
They were making jokes about the will while arguing over the golf cart.
Yeah, that's
Like-
the kind of morbid humor that I kind of love.
Spoiler alert.